What's that? What? Alright. I hear the mob getting angry. They want their SR-71 Blackbird work. I'm ready, let's go. I made a live stream. You guys said you want a Blackbird video, I wrote it down. What is the Blackbird? Have you heard about it? Is it a plane? Is it a bird? It's a plane. Listen, I heard this plane is so fast that if it shoots a missile, it can hit its own missile if it doesn't slow down. Can you imagine that? How fast it is? The Estonia flag, for you. Here you go. I've also heard that the Soviets hated that plane. They hated it throughout. And Estonia was under Soviet Union, so I guess we hated that plane. But I mean, now we're allies, so I can be proud about you guys having that plane. We have watched the Apache, we have watched the A-10, we have watched AC-130. Now it's time for the fourth legendary US air death machine, SR-71 Blackbird. Get your rifles ready, get your Estonian Youtuber Cup ready, let's go. Alright, my friend.
In the midst of the Cold War, two MiG-25s raced to intercept the threat along the Soviet border. They're the fastest interceptors ever built, and if they really push their engines, they can reach an incredible Mach 3.2. But
one thing I don't understand are the Mach limits. I don't know what they mean. How much is it in miles or kilometers? I really don't know it. So 3.2 Mach, how much is it? Should I make a video about the MiGs?
it's not enough, because what they're chasing can outrun and outclimb any threat. A plane engineered to be invulnerable.
Yeah, hoorah! Come on, let's go. I don't know why I'm so hyped about this. You guys are, so I am.
The Cold War locked the United States and Soviet Union into a tense struggle for global influence and control. Both sides poured enormous resources into military technology.
Is that a nuclear explosion next to infantrymen? Well, I guess they did things differently in the 50s. Dangerous.
But getting an upper hand means knowing your opponent's next move. And in the 1950s, little was known about facilities deep within the Soviet Union.
Look, that's Estonia. Blue, black and white, right? Didn't exist back then. I mean, it did, but it was illegal to use. Our country was created in 1918. That's when the blue, black and white flag was created by university students. This country here, the small one here, with the capital of Tallinn, is Estonia. Also the islands, they are white right now, but actually no, they were red, fully red, unfortunately. We had a whole damn garrison of those Red Army men in our country.
Kui tuli teade riigipöördest Moskvas, polnud enam kahtlust, et Tallinna tulevad tankid.
Being filthy and destroying everything. It was a horrible time. They deported my grandfather also. If you want to know about that story, then my channel's trailer is about my family's story and my grandfather and how we got free in the 90s. I'm so glad we're allies now.
An extensive network of radar stations, surface-to-air missile sites, and interceptor air bases kept the Americans away. Until 1956, when U-2 spy planes began flying over the Soviet Union. Neither fast nor stealthy, U-2s had one critical advantage. At 70,000 feet, they could fly above Soviet air defenses. US President Eisenhower was even assured Soviet radars couldn't detect the U-2 at such high altitudes. But it turns out the Americans were wrong. The Soviets had tracked the U-2 since day one, and it was only a matter of time before they'd be able to shoot one down. Simply flying high wasn't enough. Even before the U-2 began its surveillance missions, there were already plans underway to replace it. Because
It's sometimes weird how problems are solved in the military, but they truly work. For example, Soviet Union has powerful radars and anti-aerial missiles. What will we do? We'll fly higher than they could shoot. Hoorah, my friends, let's go! And it did work for a while, actually. Another example is in the Cold War, in the space race, you know, the Americans needed to write with something in the space. These pencils wouldn't work in space. Back then, at least they didn't. The design was, I guess, different or something. The gravity needed to pull the ink out didn't work. So they needed to invent something that works and writes. So they put a lot of money to inventing something that would write in space. The Russians didn't have the brains to do that, so they just used a pencil. Simple, but works. You'd be surprised what solutions soldiers find to their tasks in the military. Sergeants give a task to the soldier and the soldier completes it no matter what, and the solution he uses is sometimes just out of this world. I should react to another military fails video, or just military wins, for example, where they use these crazy things and it works. It is actually funny how you build a plane that doesn't have weapons, it's not fast, it's not invisible, but it can just fly very high. Oh yeah, my friends.
Impunity over Soviet airspace would need a combination of incredible speed, altitude, and stealth. And this led the Americans to explore some pretty radical spy plane concepts, like a ramjet-powered aircraft that would be deployed from the bottom of a supersonic B-58. But in 1959, the CIA chose Lockheed to develop the next generation of spy plane. Meanwhile, the
well, of course, it makes sense actually. Even militarized foreign intelligence missions are done by CIA. I kind of thought they're done by the military. CIA is different. But it makes sense, yeah. All of the spying of the US is done by the CIA, I guess. I have a question though. I've heard there's many powerful agencies of that kind. FBI, CIA, DEA, then there's the military. Do they all work together or is it a rivalry? Because I know police force is mad when the feds take over, right? Oh, the feds took over again. I've seen it in the movies. So, do they work together or is it a rivalry? My friends, let's take this time to thank 3 new patrons who have supported this channel. Tim Stevenson, thank you for becoming a Patreon. Federico Ettinger, thank you for becoming a Patreon. And lastly, Thomas B. Germain, thank you for becoming a patron. There is an upgrade to the patrons. Only 15 people will get a signed cup. If you want a signed cup, go to the Patreon. God and Legend tiers get signed cups. Only 15 of them. That's the first signed cup. I'll write number 1 on here, so if you get this, you're the first one to get it. First one. I have 15 special edition Estonian Youtuber Cups. 15 of you will get them, and no one else in the world will get them. Legend and God tier Patreons will get a signed and numbered cup. There's only 15 of them. And I will send them straight to you. You just have to write me your address.
2 continued to fly over the Soviet Union, but not for very long. Because in the spring of 1960, a Soviet surface-to-air missile finally managed to bring one down.
Oh,
the captured
no.
pilot and wreckage were paraded around the Soviet Union, used as proof of Western aggression. As tensions rose, now more than ever, the US needed a replacement for the U-2.
Oh, it looks godly. I like the look.
And what Lockheed developed would be unlike any aircraft ever built. A plane that nearly 60 years after its first flight remains the fastest air-breathing jet to ever fly. Lockheed's highly classified spy plane would be known as the A-12. Originally used by the CIA for reconnaissance, the A-12 was also developed into an interceptor prototype, armed with air-to-air missiles, along with a variant that could launch an unmanned reconnaissance drone. But it was the SR-71 Blackbird, a variant developed for the Air Force that would go on to serve for decades.
Wait, but yes, we know about the Blackbird. You guys are crazy about it, I'm finding out about it, but as I see here, not that many were built. The F-35, the F-22, there's almost 200 F-22s, which is not that big of a number, but still, and there's supposedly going to be over 2,000 F-35s. And here we only have about close to 50 Blackbirds, and not all of them made for the same departments, all of them made for different departments. Why did they make them so few in numbers? Didn't they need more? I mean, it's the Cold War, you should need all you can get. Alright, we'll make it as fast as the SR-71 Blackbird. Let's go, my friends. You guys wrote to me and pointed out 3 mistakes I've put on the board. First of all, on an island called Jersey, I put the point to France and you guys got mad, especially UK lads. You said it's a UK island. How could I make that mistake? So I'm gonna fix it. Sorry, French people. Your point goes to England because Jersey is apparently theirs. Second mistake I made, there is supposed to be 1 more point to Alabama because once there was 2 orders, I only put down 1. So 1 extra for Alabama. You Alabamians, you can be happy. Yeehaw! 3 point. Easiest point you'll ever get, Alabama. And the last mistake I made is bad for Florida and good for Texas. A guy wrote to me saying that he wanted his point to go to Texas, Well, I put it to Florida because he was from Florida. Well, sorry Florida men, your point goes to Dex now. First of all, we have Truman Lower. Truman is also the last name of the president, right? But that's your first name. You're from Fort Carson. And Fort, as I said in the last video, I guess that means military base, so I'm glad to find out soldiers get my cups. Way to go! That's in Colorado. 10 points for Colorado. Woo! Let's change the numbers. Way to go, Coloradians! We have an easy name. Philip Robinson. That's easy. Even I, with my Estonian tongue, can pronounce that. Philip, you're from Winchester. Oh, that's a cool name. Historic old name. That's in Virginia. Almost heaven. West Virginia. Blue Ridge Mountains. We have an interesting one. Nicholas Muir. Listen to this. You're from Joint Base Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor, we have an order from Pearl Harbor. That is cool. That's historic and connected to the military, so it's 2 pluses. It's in Hawaii, obviously. My dude, Hawaii has already almost 10 points. Next order will be the 10th. We have Zachary Simmons. That's Simmons, obviously. You're from Eatonton. Zachary, what do you eat in Eatonton? That's in sweet Georgia. We have Carlos Ramos. Hey, hombre. Have you seen Carlos? Carlos, you live in Hamilton Township. It's a town on a ship. Yeah, that's in New Jersey. Whoa, 10 points for New Jersey. I like it when we change the numbers. I like the Arabic one better. We have Elijah Tortillot. It's Tortillot or Tortillot, but Tortillot, as a Finnish person would say. Elijah, you live in Pine Hill, New Jersey. Wait a minute, I just heard that name. Hey, you know what that means? New Jersey will be the state of the day. Way to go, Elijah. You made it so everybody will find out the state of the day fact now. The state of the day fact about New Jersey is the first ever modern submarine ride was taken in Passaic River in New Jersey, so home of the submarines, which we haven't made a video about yet actually. Video about submarines. We'll do it. New Jersey deserves a green state of the day line under its name. Way to go, my friends. Get in the cups. If you want something special, then there's 15 of these signed and numbered. Only 15, special edition. Go and be a legend or a god tier patron and I'll send them straight to your address. Back to the video.
Earlier versions were quickly retired. The Blackbird could cruise at Mach 3.2, right near the edge of space, and do it for hours on end. To achieve this, Lockheed's engineers had to innovate pretty much everything from scratch. To sustain such incredible speeds, the SR-71 and its predecessors were powered by engines often described as turbo ramjets. Below Mach 2, they functioned like conventional afterburning jet engines. But above that, they behaved more like ramjets, as an inlet cone adjusted to bypass air around the engine and directly into the afterburner. At Mach 3.2, the SR...
Wait, let me find out how fast is that? How fast is Mach 3.3? 4,000 kilometers per hour. What? Unbelievably crazy. This number is mind-blowing. Okay, so flying this fast, all of the air comes at you, right, with supersonic speed. It goes through your engines. For the burning of fuel, there needs to be oxygen, and the more oxygen, the more powerful of a burnout. So the air is forced into the burnout. So the faster you go, the faster you can go, because the more air comes into the burnout of the engines. Genius. Or maybe I just understood everything incorrectly.
SR-71's exterior would heat up to beyond 500 degrees Fahrenheit, easily hot enough to soften aircraft aluminum. The Lockheed engineers used titanium for 92% of the aircraft.
Titanium?
In the 1960s...
Titanium, that's an expensive metal, right? So this aircraft should be very expensive.
This required inventing entirely new fabrication technologies. Its unusual shape did more than just spook UFO enthusiasts. It helped reduce its radar signature, as did its special black paint, which earned the SR-71 its Blackbird name.
Alright.
The A-12 and SR-71 were first deployed over North Korea and Vietnam, where they were unsuccessfully targeted by over 800 surface-to-air missiles.
Unsuccessfully targeted, let me guess. They fired those missiles, and the missiles were too slow. In your face. Your missiles are not fast enough for this Blackbird invincible American plane. But let me ask you guys, are the missiles nowadays fast enough to take down this plane? So if this flies into Russian airspace right now, could they shoot it down? Well, no, because it could go up to space almost, right? I don't know much about this, so you guys have to forgive me if I'm asking stupid questions.
But the spy plane never flew into Soviet airspace, at least not officially, because another shoot-down over the Soviet Union would be catastrophic. So instead, the SR-71 flew along its borders, using its powerful side-looking radars and cameras to peer hundreds of miles into Soviet territory. And that frustrated the Soviets.
Hundreds of miles? If you're not crossing into Soviet airspace and you still get hundreds of miles inside the land, then you must be flying truly, yes, very high, and your cameras must be very good. Oh, poor Soviets, they can't do anything. You're not even crossing their airspace and you still get the intel. I almost feel bad for them.
In 1976, Viktor Belenko defected to the West by escaping the Soviet Union in his MiG-25. He described the frustration of trying to intercept Blackbirds. The MiGs were Mach 3 capable, but only for a few minutes at a time, not for hours like the Blackbird. Nor could they climb to reach the SR-71's incredible altitude. Even their enormous R-40 missiles lacked the guidance needed to strike the SR-71 head-on. For years, the Blackbirds were practically invulnerable. They could outfly and outclimb any threat. But by the 1980s, MiG-31s were roaming the skies. Equipped with sophisticated radar and long-range R-33 missiles, they posed a legitimate threat, as did a new generation of Soviet surface-to-air missiles. But the greatest threat to the Blackbird wasn't an enemy missile or jet, it was itself. No Blackbird was ever lost on a mission, but more than a third of the 50 built were destroyed in accidents. One literally disintegrated around its pilots. They were also enormously expensive to operate, each one siphoning about $300 million a year out of America's defense budget.
$300 million per year! So, it is not the cost of this is the maintenance of this plane per year. So what's the cost of it? It's even more, I guess. And to maintain 300 million, I mean, you can get F-35s for 150, even less. And that's not the maintenance, that's the entire cost. But this... whoo, baby, this is expensive, and that's back in the time. Again, it shows you how rich are the Americans. How can they even allow it to themselves? Sometimes I feel like Pentagon is just pulling money out of... I don't know where. Where? Just an endless pit.
A fleet of special aerial refuelers and a small army of support and maintenance staff were needed just to keep these planes mission ready. And advances in spy satellites, aerial drones, and the SR-71's inability to deliver surveillance data in real time diminished some of the plane's utility. Add to that politics and infighting for defense budgets, and by the late 1980s, the SR-71's days were numbered. They were officially retired in 1998, with 2 sent to NASA for testing.
1998.
The technology behind the A-12 and SR-71 is now well over 50 years old. Yet somehow these incredible planes still speak to us. Not about the past, but the future, leaving us with a sense of wonder, unlike any other in aviation history.
Ooh, yeah, I feel good about this plane. I mean, it's retired 7 years after Estonia got free in the 91. This plane retired, and it was 50 years into service, being one of the fastest and most feared plane by the Soviets. I guess it wasn't in live actions, but still, back then it was the information war, and you could get a lot of information with this plane. You can't do much about it, right? If your missiles are not fast enough, you can't fly high enough, you can't do anything. Alright, thank you my friends for suggesting it. I'm glad I know about this legendary story. I mean, we are allies. I feel like I need to know this story. If you want to send me videos, become a patron, link is in the description below, and send me a video, I'll react to it. Also, go and get the Estonian Youtuber Cup, or get one of the 15 special edition ones, signed and numbered, straight to your address. Become a legend or god Patreon. And as always my friends, until my next video, stay cool, and bye bye.